Hello, this is the East Coast Economic Update for February the 15th, 2009. Since the market is going to be, I'm looking at the kitten cotton because of course he's shown up while I'm making a video. Since the markets will be closed tomorrow because of the President's Day holiday being February the 16th, a subscriber had asked me to explain bond markets and how they work in relation to the dollar and what our dollar is worth, because we have a fiat currency. So I'm going to try to do that. If any of you have any other further questions, comment it or personal message me. All right, so here it goes. How bonds work. Bonds are broken up here in the United States between actually four that we know of: 2-month or 3-month, quarter, 2-year, 3-year, 10-year, and 30-year. Now, the further you go out from the 3-month to the 2-year, the 10-year, and 30-year, the longer you have to wait for your payment, basically. So how does it work? Well, we're going to use the 10-year and the 30-year as an example. 30-year bonds were bonds that your parents and grandparents bought, the war bonds that promised a high percentage, relatively speaking, of 3 to 5% over 30 years. They were at the time during World War II, in using that example, were tax free. So, what happens? Say I'm an investor. Let's say I'm China. Let's use that example. And I have all this extra money and I don't know where to put it. The stock market is kind of volatile and I don't know quite where to invest it. So I will go and drop off my extra cash and buy United States Treasuries in the 2 and 10-year realm. The more money one places into a bond, the lower the yield becomes. So whenever you hear on the radio the bond yields drop today, that means that many people are going into the bonds and buying them for a sense of security. Because in a deflationary situation, which we are in presently, which is going to be short-lived, it's better to hold your money in a negative falling or deflationary situation than to place it into a volatile situation such as the stock market, where you can lose everything. So it's a safe haven. So when people realize that, in this case, the bonds are not secure, they will go towards precious metals: silver, gold, platinum, palladium, and so forth. And when that money leaves the U.S. Treasury market, for example, I'm using only U.S. Treasuries for this example, but most bonds work this way, the yield will rise. When the price rises, it's supposed to sweeten the pot to get you back to come in. So, for example, right now, I am sorry for turning my head. I'm looking at Bloomberg. The 2-year is yielding. The 2-year bond is yielding 0.96, or just under 1% return. The 10-year is at 2.89, and near almost 3%, and the 30-year is at 3.6. So as you can see, the further out you have to hold your money, the higher the number. So this makes normal sense. So during a normal market, the shorter period of time in which you hold on to your bonds, the less return you get, because you get the government gets to hold on to your bonds for a short period of time. The longer you hold on to your bonds, the larger the yield, or the higher the yield. So now this is normal. This is for a normal market. We are not in a normal market. So now we're going to talk about inversions. So here's what happens. Say, for example, people have their 30-year bonds in a 30-year bond, basically, and the bond is at 3.68%. Well, let's say that right now, we'll use a hypothetical example. The government of the United States prints a whole mess of money, and say, I don't know, creates a stimulus package of over or close to, with the interest rate of $9 trillion. Well, what happens is, me being China, gets a little nervous and says, how do I know these bonds are not going to be defaulted and I'm going to be left with nothing but toilet paper for dollar bills? So what happens is people start to peel out, or in my case, China, peel out of our bonds and say go to something that's, I don't know, an example of universal wealth and prosperity, precious metals. That's exactly what China is doing now. It's buying gold, it's buying silver, it has been buying gold and silver. Well, the United States Treasury gets nervous and says, hey, I'm willing, I need cash on hand in my pocket right now, so I'm going to start to raise my yields for the 2-year. The 30-year, because it's a long time, it's almost a generation, is going to pretty much stay around the same price, 3.68. So what happens is when investors, like me, China, decides, hey, I don't want to invest in you because you're printing money like people make toilet paper, the bond yields in the 2-year, or in this case the 10-year, start to rise. So let's make believe this is the 30-year, which is pretty steady Eddie, and this is the 10-year. So this 30-year, well, everybody who wanted to make a long-term investment has already put money in this, and it's going to stay or drop in price of the investment of 3.68. The 2-year, well, people are bailing out of that, and the gold price is going to start to shoot up. So the U.S. Treasury has no other choice but to say, hey, right now, I'm offering you 2.89%. Is that good? China goes, no, I don't think so. How about 3%? Nah, I don't want to buy bonds. How about 3.5%? I don't know. How about 3.68%? Maybe. How about 3.75%? There's the inversion. Now suddenly the people holding onto the 30-year bonds go, hey, these guys in the 2-year bonds are getting better rates than me. So I'm going to sell my bonds. And I'm going to go into the 10-year. And it's going to go like that. And what happens is, you're in a fiat currency. When a dollar or any piece of currency is not backed by something like produce, like production, a GNP, not GDP, or precious metal like gold, silver, palladium, and so forth, it is at the whims of this market system. So suddenly what happens is people lose confidence in the currency. And that causes that inversion between the 30-year, which is this, and the 10-year. And suddenly, you reach, 4%, say, we'll use that example, and then suddenly, I wish I had a third hand here, but let's make believe this now becomes the 2-year. Hey, I don't know about holding on to my money for 2 years. How about that, for 10 years, well, how about that 2-year bond? And then it accelerates. This is exactly what happened in Weimar, Germany in 1923. If anyone, I would encourage you to, and I think I did put it on my other one about the Weimar Republic, but I will put over here the Wikipedia example of what happened during hyperinflation and the Weimar Republic. What happened is now your dollar, because all these bonds are being, shot up and changed all the time, will bring about the lessening of the dollar. And when you look at the dollar index, which I will also put up over here, if it drops below 70 cents, which right now it's around 85 cents, it becomes worthless. And what happened in Weimar, Germany is barrels of money, trillions of Deutschmark, you might as well call it trillions of dollars, became so worthless that people started to use them to heat their homes by burning them, allowing their children to play with it because it was like monopoly money. And barrels of it could pay for one loaf of bread. And that is what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. The propensity with all these stimulus packages producing money, and the Federal Reserve usurping the responsibility of the Congress to regulate cash, are just dumping large amounts of money. Part of this reason, ultimately, is to cause hyperinflation so that whatever loans that they have outside can be paid off very cheaply, but the cost of your livelihood and your sovereignty. All right? So just let you understand that. Until next time, peace.